Today's Sklarbro Country is brought to you by LegalZoom.com.
Zoom?
Love those guys. Support them because they support us. Today's show is also brought to you by James Cook from Glendale Heights, Illinois, who is sponsoring the studio for the day. Thank you, James. And now, a little bit of this. I like to wait for the voice to come in before I start bothering people. I think the fact that we both want to do it is telekinesis. And that's the name of the band. The song is Dirty Thing. That, once again, is from Cyrus's wonderful birthday mix. Got a lot of love from the Hot Karate last week. He's getting some... And I say, why don't we come up with the Hot Karate cologne? Yeah, there is High Karate. There should be Hot Karate. There should be Hot Karate, which is... it should be a cologne that is like... it's bottled hot. Yeah. So it gets on your face. Every time you touch it, your hand should be singed. Seared, and then it gets on your face and it just burns you off. So everyone who has it will have the branding of the shape of the bottle in the palm of their hands. And if they commit a crime, they can never be fingerprinted because that part of their skin has been burned off. Fantastic. Hot Karate. Hot Karate. Pick it up in stores today. We're the Sklar Brothers. This show is called Sklar Country. Our guests on the show today, we're very excited. Episode 81. 81. Is the great Anthony Jeselnik. He's hilarious. He's someone who who I will say this about the guy. Saw him do comedy a lot before he started to blow up through doing the roast stuff. And back when he was doing, I think this is even before his Fallon set, so this might have been before his first TV set, I always knew that he was going to explode. He had fantastic joke writer and a great persona and character on stage. Those two usually add up to a fantastic performer. He's on the show today. We're going to talk to him. Very excited about that. It's always good to get someone new into the fold as well. And later on the show, we have a special guest who's going to talk about the Super Bowl. It's a new guest to the show, and I don't even want to reveal it. I always love when we have a new guest, too. He will be here later on the show. It's a he. I'll give you that much. There you go. Before we get jamming, we want to thank our sponsor, of course, LegalZoom.com. Get on those guys. Get a will. Someone had mentioned, they emailed in, they said that that he and his wife were going through an uncontested divorce, and he was actually going to go through LegalZoom. I mean, it's like you were sad and in a terrible moment. He was a guy up in Portland who had come to our show, really nice guy. I think we've met his wife, maybe. Possibly. But they went through a difficult time, and he was like, I feel better about it knowing that it's going to not cost me a lot of money to go through LegalZoom. There you go. You type Henderson or Sklar in the referral box, you get even more savings. Hey, if you're I'm doing my taxes right now. It's such a bummer, but thank God I'm incorporated. If you're not incorporated, dude, do it. You'd be housed. Now. You're going to get housed. Support these guys because they support us. Again, LegalZoom.com. They're not lawyers. No, but they will work to... Like Corbin Burnson, they are not lawyers, but you still trust him. Like Corbin Burnson, they're hot in an 80s way. Yeah. You trust them, and you want them on the hot corner for you. Like Corbin Burnson was the third baseman in Major League. I love that he tried to pull off that he could do baseball. That after that, like he's like in every celebrity softball event. We saw Corbin Burnson at the St. Louis airport, and all the seats were taken. He was sitting on the floor. Yeah. And to me, on some level, I don't know if that's where he was in his career, but it seemed appropriate. Symbolic. It seemed appropriate that Burnson was on the floor. So maybe LegalZoom isn't like Corbin Burnson. They're like 80s Corbin Burnson. On fire, the world is your oyster. Anything's possible. They can do anything for you. Get them, support them. They're like 80s Stuart Pankin. Yeah. Remember from Not Necessarily the News? Fat, but on it. Fat, but on it. You know what I'm saying? Love these guys. Which, by the way, should be the name of his next comedy album, Fat but on it. So support them because they support us. Again, LegalZoom.com. And then come see us live. By the way, we're going to mention that right now. You've got to come see us in Bloomington. Indiana. You got to come to the Comedy Attic. 16th through the 18th, and the following weekend on the 24th, 2 shows at the Varsity Theater in Minneapolis. Get your tickets now for the Varsity Theater. It's starting to fill up. Want it to sell out. Get your tickets now. And then the next night, Henderson, we will be in Toronto, Canada, at the Comedy Bar. 2 shows that night there. Very excited about being in Canada. Our first time doing like a full headlining set in Canada. I'm very excited. I'm thrilled. All right, let's get into this because great things have happened this week, and then we'll get to Jeselnik. Yes. I don't know if you saw it this past week, but there actually was a football game played around MIA flipping off 111 million people. Around MIA flipping off 111 million people, there actually was. Where did MIA go after that performance? I could not find her anywhere. She was like, nobody could locate her. It's like she almost went. Nobody could find her or locate her. I know this is coming out Friday after the Super Bowl, and then when people hear this in weeks in advance.
So just consider this the postmortem to all of the postmortems on the Super Bowl.
We have to weigh in because it's what we do.
It's our job. First of all, great game. It did pretty much live up to the billing.
I thought the hitting was pretty good.
Yeah, you said the hitting was harder than Chris Brown in a green room after a Good Morning America segment.
That's it.
That's a lot of hitting.
Exactly.
That's a lot of strong hitting.
I think most sequels suck, except for The Empire Strikes Back, or of course The Godfather 2,
or Air Bud 2.
Air Bud 2. You don't.
It almost eclipsed Air Bud 1.
You don't sleep on Air Bud 2, especially after you know that the dog got cancer.
So kudos to the Giants and the Pats for making it all come down to the final possession, which was very exciting.
Wasn't the cleanest of games.
A lot of drop passes, some poorly run routes.
Ocho Cinco was cited.
He was seen
made
once.
One catch.
Beyond that, it was competitive, Ran. I liked it. I actually enjoyed. We tweeted like madmen.
If you don't have a dog in the fight, if you didn't, it was still a fun game to watch.
Speaking of dogs, though, you switched over at halftime and watched the Puppy Bowl.
Switched over to the Puppy Bowl for a brief period. They were playing a sort of a version of the Globetrotters.
Sweet Georgia Brown. In other words, a lot of whistling, some snapping.
Yeah.
Like white guy jazz blues.
How are you really just saying, I know nothing about sports, that I'm going to play a basketball song?
Like, this is sportsy.
During what is supposedly, now it wasn't a football game. Let's just admit, this is just a bunch of dogs.
You say it's not a football game. I thought there was
a bunch of dogs.
There was some complicated shit going on out
area,
there.
But come on. And I said that I wish that they would have combined the Puppy Bowl with the Lingerie Bowl.
I would have watched that.
That would have been different. That would have been amazing.
Hot girl with something to prove, taking out a puppy.
I mean, unless you're having the Globetrotters on to face a bunch of dogs in a football game, I would I would also see. I would also see that.
That would be good.
You just don't play that.
You don't play that song. It's like it's like raising your mongoose like you would raise a Lhasa Apso.
You can't.
Mongoose can kill a snake, by the way.
And mongoose will kill a snake. Remember those videos, Jay?
A friend of ours, when we were within the 90s, this is before DVDs even, a friend of ours had these videos.
Before anything viral.
They had these videos like animals
fighting each other.
Like different species.
Mouse v snake. That was a big one.
That was one that came out. And this mouse would kind of got up on a rock and it screamed. It was like...
The mouse killed the snake. Mouse killed like a poisonous snake.
Mouse v snake. Mouse won. So mongoose, you're not going to raise your Lhasa Apso like a mongoose. That's why I don't play that. I would have thought, I feel like instead of Sweet Georgia Brown, Sarah McLachlan, is it McLaughlin or McLaughlin? We always say that.
It's the McLaughlin group.
And it's Sarah McLaughlin. I think it's the McLaughlin group and it's Sarah McLaughlin. I think it's Glock. Because every time you listen to her song, you want to put a Glock in your mouth and blow your brains out through the back of your head.
I will remember you.
I will remember you. If they would have played that.
Would have been a better call than the Globetrotters. And you could whistle that, by the way, and I would still do that.
As depressing as it is. As that song is. Does she play that in concert? Does she encore with that? Here's one just for you guys to take home with.
Abused puppies.
Abused puppies on the screen. Let's do that.
By the way,
the dogs did not want to be there. By the way, at any
can I say this? And we've talked about Paul Tompkins' classic bit about bringing your exotic pets to the post office and whatnot. Terrible. Yes. I thought about this because I recently saw a woman walking up the hill towards my house with she had a parakeet on one, like an or a macaw, like on one shoulder, and then was like on her phone on the other shoulder. And I just looked at the parakeet and if it was possible,
you tried to have a moment with the parakeet.
If it was possible for me and the bird,
the macaw,
or parakeet, I can't remember.
Who cares?
By the way, those look not even remotely like each other. Like you wouldn't mix those two things up ever. A macaw, like a toucan.
Or a cockatoo.
Yeah. No. So, or cockatiel.
I don't even know what it is.
Yeah, honestly, I had a moment with the bird, and the bird looked like pissed off that the bird had to listen to this conversation. The bird did not want to be there.
Yeah, bird doesn't want to be there.
Just get off the phone.
And
make your phone call. Not
the puppies don't want to be. Even the puppies, even if you give them treats, they don't want to be there. They don't want to be there.
The bird looked bored. All right. Here's the thing. They're not approximating a football game.
That's the other part about it. It isn't even close to what a football game would be. They're not lining up.
It would be the equivalent of, they just kind of put them on a field. Like if you were preparing food for a vegetarian and you put it in the color and you made a quiche in the color and the shape of a steak.
It's not a steak.
It's not a steak.
Nor is it a quiche at that point.
And it's insulting.
To everybody.
To everybody involved.
To all sides.
That's what, and I would argue that ain't boat right.
All right, let's talk about Madonna as a choice for the halftime show. You were very disappointed with her. I was only mildly disappointed with her.
I couldn't stand it.
Why was it so bad? Why did you hate her so much when her entrance? By the way, the entrance her walking in was gayer than anything that's ever been on the Logo Network.
Unbelievable.
I mean, that is, it was like a scene from Caligula. The whole thing.
Caligula was actually like the G version of what that was.
Yeah. And by the way, speaking of logo, I did tweet that CeeLo Green, if he does not get a judge show on the Logo Network based on that sparkly robe, I'm canceling my DirecTV.
You might be canceling it.
I might be canceling it.
I don't know if they're going to give it to him. Can he get out of The Voice to do a judge show?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
And he would have to sing all of his verdicts.
By the way, I'm not knocking gay. I just want everyone to know.
Not at all. Just know the kind of environment you're in. I just felt like she was so out of touch in every way, shape, or form. That was the reason why it was.
I mean, Madonna, yes, she's been around forever. We need to honor her longevity by giving her this spot on the thing. Yes, that's fine.
And again, not knocking gay. I don't know if anybody here, if you guys listen to WTF and you've heard the Todd Glass episode of WTF. I don't know.
Phenomenal episode. Great.
A very good friend of ours did a great job on this show. It was gripping. I highly recommend listening to that episode of that show. Compelling. And
we're not using gay in a negative. We're just saying it was a gay, not gay meaning stupid, but gay meaning it was really gay.
I wouldn't do that at Super Bowl in the same way that I wouldn't have Bon Iver play at the Super Bowl or like Fleet Foxes.
Wouldn't that be great, though?
Wouldn't that be incredible? Fleet Foxes plays an all-acoustic set at the Super Bowl. That would be incredible.
I'd love to see improv at the halftime of the Super Bowl. Just people taking suggestions.
Yeah, from the audience. Just like I wouldn't have Anthony Jeselnik like perform or roast people at a bar mitzvah party.
Yeah, you could see someone being an enormous... I bet he's gotten
It would be hilarious.
Someone's an enormous fan. He's like, this is going to be great.
Just roast me and my aunt. And then he goes and just tears into the family and creates like strife everywhere.
And like people don't talk to each other anymore.
It's hilarious.
It is hilarious.
So
I'd watch it. I wouldn't want to be in that family, but I'd watch the hell out of it.
It'd be embarrassing on some level. So, and hilarious, which is the way I kind of felt this whole halftime thing was. And Madonna, clearly an artist who's had tremendous longevity. You got to respect that she's been in the game for so long.
You were watching her get up and down off the bleachers, Rand, and you were saying, you were thinking of the movie, Is This It? Or This Is It. Which, by the way, is what I thought the Michael Jackson movie should have been named. Is This It?
Is This It?
That's what I kept saying throughout the movie. This is the movie that we're...
No, but like you watched Michael Jackson move in This Is It right before he died, and you said to yourself, he's actually moving like he did when he was 20 years old. Yeah. I mean, like the guy still has...
When he needs to, he turns it on. Because he's siphoning his own blood with the blood of small children.
That's right. But
so he has that in his...
He still has young blood inside of him. But like, I guess she's just even having sex with prepubescent boys from Madonna.
She can't take it through the form
It doesn't
of semen.
come through semen.
No,
it doesn't get transferred in that way.
So she's not going to see.
So she herself seemed like she was just kind of like an old woman approximating what Madonna used to do. And that's what it was for me.
Let's talk about Tom Brady's wife, Giselle. Is it Giselle or Giselle?
I think it's Giselle.
I loved pregame. She said to tweet it, or did she say, like, I want everyone to pray for Tom?
She asked everyone, she sent an email around saying, I want you to pray for Tom Brady. Because
you can't do that.
Just pray for a guy who's won 3 Super Bowls. He's been in, this is now his 5th, but pray for him.
You can't pray for him.
Pray for him the way you would pray for a homeless person to get a meal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Pray for him getting his thing.
You can't jump on the Tebow bandwagon. You can't start using God in the playoffs. Like, you got to pull that shit out, like, week 3, week 4, then you can start using it in the playoffs in the Super Bowl.
I'm not sure God's going to really want to pick sides on this. If God were a betting woman,
and she is a gal.
I guess she is.
She is.
I bet she'd throw a dime on the under of that game.
Yeah, she was smart. She would know.
She'd know that it'd be more of a defensive struggle than anything else.
Yeah. There's probably some cousin who didn't pray. I mean, this is probably what Giselle is thinking in her mind. It's that damn cousin Jerry, one of Tom's cousins who didn't pray, and that's why they lost.
He never takes her mass email seriously.
He never responds.
He never does.
He almost.
When she asked everyone to respond to that video of the monkey drinking his own pee, what did Uncle Jerry do?
Nothing. He did not respond. Nowhere to be found.
So he went on some dumb Charles Darwin intelligent design rant.
Yeah, he did.
Again, it was like he wasn't responding the way she wanted to, which was...
And then
in a funny, joking way.
And isn't it great what she said after the game? I love that she was like,
she got caught like somebody.
My effing husband can't throw the ball and catch the ball. Throw the ball to himself downfield. Yeah, way to throw the receivers under the bus.
Tom Brady at that point was like, great, now I got to clean this up.
Yeah.
I got to clean it's bad enough that I lost. Now I got to deal with the loose cannon that is my wife.
Ugh, it's just terrible.
Just a loose.
She just shouldn't speak. She shouldn't be allowed to speak.
We say this on this thing that's coming out at jocular.com, JOCKULAR. Check it out.
It's out right now. It's already out.
Our segment called Point.
We get deep into this. We talk about how, as a model, she probably has never been. Models aren't told often in their lives that they're wrong.
No,
so they don't know what wrong feels like.
They don't, like regular ugly people know what wrong feels like.
We know what wrong feels like.
She probably thought
she doesn't even have the fear in her voice. Like, am I going to say something wrong in this moment? Like, she doesn't even have that thought. every time I speak, I'm usually like, should I be saying? I don't think I should be. I'm just going to say it, and then I'll deal with the fallout. She never even has that.
I feel like, again, building a posse, Tom Brady not only needs a no man for himself, he needs a no man for his wife.
Do they have separate entourages? That's my question.
You build an entourage for your wife.
Once you have like a kid together, you have to merge your entourages, and that's got to be a bad moment for the like outer people in the entourage.
That's right.
They're like, look, we already got a driver guy from that side.
Do we need 2 drivers?
We need 2 I don't think so. I don't know.
Edge people are going to have to go, and that's just terrible.
You know, she's going to start.
It's like your college couch.
And that's the last thing you want.
It's your college couch. It's got to go.
It's got to go. She's going to be picking it apart. You know,
all of your beer artwork.
That's the last thing you want in your partner. That's going to end a relationship. Her nitpicking your entourage and saying who's going to stay and who's going to go. I don't think she wants that.
Honestly, I think it's why most famous people can't stay together.
It's a relationship killer.
Entourage management.
All right. Let's go. Here's a question. This is important before we get to Jeselnik. When is it okay to adopt your girlfriend to avoid paying out money to someone that you've killed?
To a family of somebody that you've killed?
Yeah.
If you answered never to that question, then you obviously have never owned a polo club in Palm Beach, Florida.
Rules are different down there, right?
That's right.
Those are the rules.
This, by the way, may be the loosest connection to sports that we've ever done on a story of Sklarbro Country. But
I don't even know if they play polo at this thing. I think it just
the
might be a bar.
International Polo Club of maybe they just sell shirts like dress, like, you know.
I think it's just a bar for preppy white alcoholics. Maybe.
Did you even need to say white?
I think when you say preppy alcoholics, white is assumed.
That preppy covered it right there.
All right, so it's international. We don't know if they play polo there, but there it is an international.
So to say there are probably trapezoidal lanes,
and there's traveling on every place. So it's international. Okay, we got that point.
All we know is that a douchebag owns this thing,
and it's like
in an outdated sport where basically people are playing
they may or may not
croquet on horses,
and they may or may not be wearing polo shirts.
We feel like that gives us license to take this bastard down a notch.
John Goodman,
not the actor.
We need to stress not the actor.
But the owner of the International Polo Club in Palm Beach apparently killed a 23-year-old kid last March after he ran a stoplight while driving drunk,
hit the kid's car, and then left the scene of the accident.
Like you would in that incident.
Great guy.
Right? Even Kenny Britt would be like, you gotta stop.
Even Dante Stallworth would be like, dude, come on, seriously, that's
even
bad.
Ted Kennedy, were he alive, would be like, come on.
Even Lizzie Grubman would be like, let's have some judgment in here.
Exactly. Decorum, please.
Let's do this right, people, before you get behind the wheel.
That's enough evidence against this rich dick to like just take him down, to want to just hang
him by his testicles and make him a human pinata.
Let people who have anger management problems hit him with an aluminum like bat that they no longer use in college.
But now he's trumped himself because he's trying to adopt his girlfriend.
Oh no, he did it.
Oh, he did it.
He
did it.
Done. Yeah,
he adopted his girlfriend so that the family of the kid that he killed can't take at least 1/3 of his he takes 1/3 of his assets off the table because they belong to her now.
For a guy named Goodman, this is anything but.
Yeah, the guy is anything but a good man.
You just honestly think about it. You have to be such a douchebag.
You have to be such a rich. You have to be the
richest douchebag to play polo.
Yeah, just to play
polo.
I would argue
just to wear a polo shirt.
You're already a douche if you're wearing a polo shirt.
And
so
I've
now add that to. I've worn it,
and I felt a little douchey as I was doing it.
Now people who own places like that, those are rich assholes. Those are the richest of all assholes.
And British royalty.
And
basically.
Basically, that's it. You own the whole damn club.
You don't just own a horse or a polo mallet. Goodman owns the whole polo team and the whole club.
So there's no way you can be humble with that. There's no, we take
Absolutely
that as a given.
Not.
But the fact that your girlfriend is willing to let you adopt her
shows you what a day. I mean, that is like some Sun Yi.
Even she was surprised at that. Even she was like,
that's a reverse.
What are we doing here?
That's a reverse Sun Yi. They're together and he wants to now make her his daughter.
She's not even his wife. Let's say that. Girlfriend.
By the way, this only works if this is your wife.
Yeah.
It's a girlfriend.
That's not something I don't know if I think I'm going to argue that it only works if it's not your wife. I think that's not something you can ever ask your wife.
All right, fine.
I disagree because once you ask your wife and she lets you do that, you'll never be able to do anything else you ever want to do in that relationship.
By the way, how confident in your relationship with your girlfriend do you have to be to just float the idea of wanting to adopt her? Honey, what do you want to do this Saturday? I mean, we can go out sailing on the yacht. We could fly to Turks and Caicos. We go to the Aspen home, just hang out, chill out there, maybe do a little snowboarding, whatnot.
Or we could do a reverse Woody Allen. Let's just do that.
Keep things local, take it down the courthouse in Palm Beach and adopt you.
The balls on this
just so I can keep 1/3 of my assets. Is that...
God, how many dates were they on? It's his girlfriend. Were they like a 5th date? Is this 6th date? What are they at? And when you think about this chick, she must really love money.
You got to love money to
let that happen.
Go along with this whole thing.
That is how big of a gold digger she is.
Yeah, that's who she is. She's a gold digger.
To stay with a guy after he killed a 23-year-old and not assume responsibility.
I think at that point, Tammy Wynette would have been like, stand by your man sometimes.
You don't have to always stand by.
We don't all. There are moments where you don't need to be standing.
Let me amend what I'm saying. You don't always have to stand by.
So we have a read on her. Maybe she's more of a schemer than he is. I don't know.
Maybe she's going to use this whole thing to get what she wants from him.
A little incest. We call that the incest weekly allowance
thing.
She's got daddy issues, and she's starting to work through them right now.
If she's going to grow up. Maybe that's it. Maybe.
By agreeing to allow the murderer of
a boyfriend.
Her murderer boyfriend.
Yeah.
Let's just call him a murderer boyfriend.
To adopt her.
That's growth. That seems like a high priority for this woman. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
My question is, how is this going to change their relationship? Because I'm always thinking about that. Can he ground her?
Can he spank her?
Technically, he can do
spank
both.
her?
Technically, he is her father.
He'll say, knowing him, because he seems like a douchebag.
He's definitely going to, in a joking way, who's your dad?
Who's your dad? Like in front of
He's definitely going to say, who's your daddy?
And no one will laugh, and he'll still think it's funny.
It will make Bring Your Daughter to Work Day a little bit weird.
Awkward.
Just a little bit awkward. After people have already been introduced.
What does her real dad have to say about this?
Yes!
She's 42. I'm assuming her real dad is still alive. At that, doesn't he have a say?
Does he have a say?
Can he step in and be like, yeah, she's got a dad already?
Does she have to emancipate herself from her current parents?
Macaulay Culkin style?
That's right.
And then burn down an apartment building and kill people?
Maybe. Can he block this thing?
I don't know.
This is so bad, I feel bad for actor John Goodman, that he's going to have to now change his name. Or he's going to have to answer some serious questions here.
I would recommend that he change his name to John Barr and announce his candidacy as Roseanne's running mate for the Green Party.
There you go. Take that, Nader.
Which, by the way, talk about an unfortunate name for a guy.
Hey, Ralph, what are you trying to do with the Green Party?
I'm trying to reach the pinnacle of all of politics.
Wait, what does your name mean again?
The lowest point. The lowest point ever. A Nader.
Even the International Polo Club owner / girlfriend adopting drunk driving manslaughterer John Goodman has a better chance of being elected president than Ralph Nader.
Agreed. I agree.
Unless Nader adopts Roseanne.
Wait a second.
And she adopts actor John Goodman.
And the three of them run as a multi-generational political juggernaut.
Like the Bizarro Kennedys.
I'm on it.
Green Party, we're just giving you suggestions.
You need anything, just listen to us, because you're not getting it done the way you've been getting it done. When we come back on the show, that was a long segment, but it was worth it. Well worth the wait, my friends. Someone who's definitely a juggernaut in his own right, Anthony Jeselnik, here on Sklarbro Country. This is Who Do You Think I Am? Woods, make a Dagwood sandwich, punch a waterfall. We'll talk to you in a sec. Hey, gang, as we mentioned, today's show is sponsored by LegalZoom.com. They are not lawyers. They do handle your specific legal needs, though, like an uncontested divorce, changing your name. Honestly, Rand, when I saw in the Super Bowl halftime show at the end it came up World Peace, I was like, wait a minute, is Madonna an Artest fan?
Maybe.
Or maybe she's just a fan of LegalZoom being able to help you change your name legally and easily. Boom. Zoom. There you go. So support these guys. They are supporting us. We've mentioned it before.
If you write Sklar or Henderson in the referral box, you get even more savings at an already low price.
Make an LLC. Get yourself a will. You got to do all these things. These are ways for you to take care of things in your own life and at the same time support Sklarbro Country.
All right, welcome back to Sklarbro Country. First segment down the books, episode 81. We're very excited to have this next guest with us today, and we've been chatting with him in the break. He is a fantastic comic. If you have not seen his comedy, I would highly recommend it. Do you have a CD, by the way?
Yeah, it's called Shakespeare.
Shakespeare.
Oh, that's right. I knew that. It's been on the charts. Anthony Jeselnik, welcome to Sklarbro Country.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
It's good to see you. I want to talk about, of course, your name has really become synonymous with the roasts and whatnot. just because you kill it on the roast. How did you get involved in that? Who kind of brought you in? Is that something you wanted to do?
Yeah, I mean, even before I decided I wanted to be a comedian, I wanted to be on a roast. Like,
really?
As a kid in college, I would just watch them on Comedy Central once they started like really going, and just thought that's like the most fun. You see these famous people just
ripping the hell out of each other,
tearing each other apart, laughing harder than you ever see celebrities laugh ever.
Did you see the old roasts? Have you seen the old like the Rickles roast?
Yeah, I love those things. I love them all.
Dean Martin celebrity roasts.
And I kind of, even when I got into stand-up, I kind of turned myself towards roast type jokes. Like it was like short, mean jokes that I wanted. And finally, got to write on the Hasselhoff roast, which was really fun. And
how great was that?
That was so much. It was more fun than even being on it.
Really,
writing on it. I had 3
Who'd you
weeks.
write for?
You write for all the non-comedians,
right? Okay, so
like
I was
Pam
about to do a
Anderson.
really good joke about naming somebody who was a comedian who was a.
But yeah, you write all their stuff, and it's just. But you're with like 12 other writers, like sitting around this room who do this for a living, and they're saying the meanest things in the world
ever.
The stuff you couldn't use, we'd be on the floor laughing.
Of course, Can you remember the meanest thing you've ever heard about anything? And can you relay it right now? I don't know if you can't remember.
The one thing that comes into my mind was about, I shouldn't say the guy's name.
Why not? Don't say who wrote it.
I won't say who wrote it. I know his name. It was about Jeff Ross, and it was one of those things where we're doing the intros. And the intros for these roast things are like, that's when you get at the worst, because it's like 8 roast jokes in like 2 sentences.
That's right.
And I remember a guy. I can say the writer's name. He's working with me now. A guy Tom Johnson came up with.
Love him from St. Louis.
This is like the funniest part of great guy. This is the funniest part of Jeff Ross's Wikipedia page, and it was just like the 2 sentences that described his parents dying, like when he was really
come on.
And exactly. It was brutal.
So brutal.
You would never even think to use it.
Yes.
But we laughed. It was like 2 a.m.
Of course, you're dying, and it's
Yeah.
probably the meanest place on earth.
Oh my God.
It's like
so bad.
once you go into that, like probably the room is like its own. Probably is like 10 degrees cooler than the rest of the earth, and you're just like all bets are off. Nothing is wrong enough.
Yeah,
and it's
you
probably
cannot
really fun. Say it's great. And so do you love? Did you love being up there and just kind of in that scenario? Was it the Sheen one? Which one did you sort of come out on?
I did the Trump one. The Trump one was like my first time doing it, but it's weird how that works. Is that it changed my life immediately after being on.
How
that thing.
so?
Just in terms of being a stand-up at like people started coming to see me at shows, and they were coming to see me. Mm-hmm. And since I told these like brutal jokes on the roast, like there was no line between us anymore. That like they knew what they were getting,
right?
And they were thrilled to be getting it. Whereas before that, even the month before that, I would be on stage for people who were just coming to see a comedy show,
right?
Maybe it's half full, maybe it's full, but they're there to see comedy, and sometimes I don't always go over.
That's right.
And so now that I even know that they know who I am, that changes the way that I approach it,
right?
Which has been great.
You feel more comfortable. You feel like you can go as wherever you want. Live on the edge. I was saying about this because I was talking about that. It's like comedy is about, or doing the best, or being the most comfortable on stage is about taking away anything that may restrict you at all.
Totally.
Like getting rid of it. Those are like seatbelts, like locking you in. Just trying to unleash everything you can so that when you come on stage, you can be the purest version of you as a performer that you can be.
Exactly.
And so you're saying this helps.
Yeah, it's confidence, and the audience the audience puts confidence on me just by knowing it.
That's right.
And then after the Sheen roast, it's like once you do 2 of them, it's like I'm not just the guy from that roast, I'm the guy from the roast. So and that even just being on 2, I'm surprised at how much it's kind of like. It just kind of puts you up there a little more.
That's awesome.
I actually wrote a roast joke about you guys once.
No way!
I did, yeah.
Let's hear it.
I don't know if this will ring a bell for you guys. I wrote a bunch of jokes for Paul Scheer during one of those awards, those like internet awards.
Oh yeah.
And you guys were presenters, and I wrote, what's the hardest part about telling the difference between the Sklar Brothers? Finding a reason to.
Yes!
I was like, when Paul Scheer told me, Paul Scheer was like, I'm going to use it. I was so happy.
Oh my God! Did he do it? I don't know.
Maybe he did. After you guys presented, then after you guys sat down,
that was right.
Said it.
Yeah, that's right. That was like the Streamy Awards. Hilarious. That was so funny. Yeah. That's great. And that's one of those jokes where, like, again, you tell it. It's like we're out there, we're laughing.
Yeah.
You love it.
Yeah.
You love it because it's. Can it go too mean like ever?
Oh yeah, I've seen it. Because they usually cut that stuff out on the roasts,
right?
But I've seen, I've seen people do. Like if they go after kids, like somebody's kids, that's a big no. People like really get upset about that.
Yeah. Right?
And if you go after a woman's looks, that's not Lisa Lampanelli.
Right.
Yeah.
Like Pam Anderson, I remember writing for the Hasselhoff roast. We were all like, "Oh, she's going to be brutal. Like, every joke was about how bad she looks now and everything."
Yeah.
And then she showed up looking great.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a lot of that's the magic of technology.
Sure,
But she looked
sure,
great.
sure.
And anytime anyone made fun of her for the way
It just
she looked,
didn't go over.
it went over badly, and then she would like twirl her hair and like look around and like look hurt, and then people would like flat out boo if you made fun of her.
Wow. So the
rest of
crowd
the
is
show.
kind of like a rough crowd also.
The roughest crowd, and
The roughest
they
crowd.
get them so drunk. Pitchers of beer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pitchers of wine. What are you
Pitchers
thinking?
of wine?
Yeah. What is
It's
it?
terrible.
Ancient Rome. It's unbelievable.
It's
how
terribly
crazy they go.
awesome, though. That's
Yeah.
great. And you obviously there were athletes there. Mike Tyson. Did you have any interaction with him?
It was funny because when I heard Tyson, I was like really excited. And they've been trying to get Tyson forever.
Sure.
So I was like, I'm a huge Tyson fan.
Right.
Loved him as a kid. And no, he's got like a very public rape in his past. And I was like, I can't wait. So I wrote these 3 jokes.
Thank you. He's got a very public rape in his past. I can't wait.
And I was trying these jokes out, and it was like destroying the place. Like these jokes were killing so hard. I was like, I can't wait. And my fear is Tyson going to cut up and try to kill me?
That's right.
Because he might. Because
He
there
might,
is a switch in Tyson's brain
Sure.
where we all have the switch.
Sure.
We
know not to act on.
We know not to act on the impulse to want to punch
He bit
somebody.
a man's ear off.
But even if he thought to be funny, if he thought it'd be funny to get up and just kind of push me lightly with one hand, that's terrifying to me. You know,
you would go over.
Exactly. And I'm thinking like if that happens, like I can't run away because it's
No.
on camera. It's going to be my moment.
That's right.
I've got to stand there and act like I'm not afraid of fucking Mike Tyson. So,
Yeah, right.
they,
He's gonna kill you.
So I called the producer a couple days before. I say, "Hey, would you guys do me a favor? I'm just trying to think of all the angles." I'm like, "Hey, please don't sit me anywhere near Mike Tyson. I don't want to be near him. I just want to be
Yeah,
away, so I
yeah,
don't have to worry about it."
yeah.
And they knew exactly. They go, "Anthony, no rape jokes. You're not allowed to
That
tell
was
any-"
their response to you saying,
to
"Don't
me
sit
saying,
me
"No."
next
They
to
knew
me next
exactly
to-
what I was going for.
I know
They were
exactly
like-
where you're going.
They were like, "No rape jokes, no prison jokes."
That's like me with my daughter. Like when I know that she's about
No
to act
rape
up,
jokes.
I say no rape jokes.
Yeah, you
I tell
know,
my daughter, I
that's
say
exactly
6-year-old,
what's gonna
you're
happen.
6.
Yeah.
No rape jokes at Sunday school.
Cut it down.
You can
So-
do it when we're at home.
So I was like, all right, I guess I have to cut these. I came up with a couple more ones, and I was still pretty happy about it.
Yeah.
And Tyson is. I shook his hand right beforehand, and I was like, the whole thing. I was like, even if I bomb and this is the end of my career, I get to meet Tyson.
That's right.
Tyson is wasted.
He's wasted.
Oh.
Of course, he
Drunk.
can't take this thing
Drunk
straight.
and he's high.
And he's high.
And I don't think it was so much people making fun of him. I think it was. He's got to perform. You know,
Yes.
he's trying to get into
That's
his
right.
Right.
It's like celebrity open mic for a lot of these
For
people.
us, it's our job.
For him, it's not like he's talking to his pigeons.
Yeah.
I mean, he's out there among people.
Yeah. And so he gets down and he just starts yelling at people. He's heckling everyone.
Yeah.
As from the beginning of it, Seth MacFarlane makes it not even about Tyson. Tyson just starts yelling and
God.
front row just screaming whatever he wants, and no one can really tell him not to.
Yeah, he's Tyson.
You know,
what are you gonna do?
and then he goes up before me. They made me. I was supposed to go first, and they're like, "We want you to go after Tyson because that could be a disaster."
Yeah,
they
and
need
it'll
you to
change
back
the
it up.
energy.
Right,
yeah,
right.
Like I went after the situation on the first roast.
Which, by the way, we need to talk about that. But talk about Tyson, and then I want to talk about the situation, and that's that whole story.
yeah,
that
so-
situation.
So he's screaming at everyone. He does his set, and it could have been a situation moment with Tyson, but the audience loved him so much.
Really?
Like they really do love him that they kind of propelled him through it, and it looked great. But then I go up there and I'm ready for Tyson the whole time to yell at me. You know, I mean, you know when you're in that like comic zone where you're just like anything you're going to riff on.
Right.
And then I start to tell Tyson jokes, and I look over at him, and he looks terrified.
Really?
No, like it sounds like bragging so much, but he is like a little kid.
No
like
way.
mouth open, like what's he going to say about me?
Wow.
And he never opened his mouth during my set until I hear Patrice yell at me. Patrice O'Neill yelled something. And I thought it was Tyson. And I was so like ready. I just turned and just pounced on Patrice, who was like trying to help me. I made that Tyson joke. I don't know if you guys remember it totally bombed. It was the Richard Pryor album. What was it? It was like what Mike Tyson. What can you say about Mike Tyson that hasn't already been the title of a Richard Pryor album?
Fantastic.
You know, which is a
Great joke.
Great joke.
Only
Too
jokes
smart.
Only
no,
jokes
that's
smart. Yeah,
way
yeah.
too smart for people drinking pitchers
Sure.
of wine.
But I was going to try. I'm like, I always have a couple of those, and I'm like, maybe this will bomb. But if it works, it'll be great.
Great.
Did it
You
make
know?
in the show?
It made it on the show because Patrice yells out too many white people, and I thought he was like attacking me.
Right.
Because I was waiting for Tyson to say something.
Right.
And so I just yelled out you know what you never hear. too few black people.
Right.
And that went so well that they left the joke in just because they
wanted to get the response. That tag saved all that other stuff, but you got a smart joke in, which, by the way, doesn't matter. At home, people care. Unless you're bombing the whole time, if you do a joke that's funny, people are laughing at home. They can't even hear what people are doing on TV.
And people now don't care if they have to Google a joke to get it.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're like just as happy to...
It's information. It's at your fingertips. Yeah. Situation, which we met him, Mike Sorrentino. Nice guy, nice enough guy. I mean, totally, he's totally effed up by the scenario of how he became famous. And I think he's got family members that are digging in his pockets for money. I think there's a lot of pressure on this kid.
A lot of cars, And
he's a lot of cars, but he's also can't back up with talent. Anything there's nothing there, which I'm always like amazed at. So tell me about how rough was it in the room that night?
So much more rough than it looked like on TV. And
which it looked terrible on TV.
Looked really terrible on TV. Here were the problems with him: is that one, he came on very late, and people always say like, "Why did you bring him there? He's not funny." Of course, he's not funny.
Yeah. Right.
They brought him there so we can all
everybody
tear
can
him
make
apart.
fun of him.
Exactly.
That's right.
That's people tuned in just to see that.
That's right.
But he came on last minute. So, like I told you before, how we write jokes for all the non-celebrities.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. You write like a ton of jokes in the beginning that's like our bank, and then you kind of go out to people, and depending on how difficult someone is, they might just reject a bunch. But you've got to give certain people the better jokes,
right?
You know. So if you come on dead last, everyone's almost already locked.
And they've already done every joke about everybody.
Yeah, so you've got some bad jokes, and they write things just for you. And he was happy with his script, and they had to tell him, "Here's how you say this."
Right.
For every joke, like really, like for hours, how you say it. And they thought, like beforehand, people thought the writers were like setting him up to fail. They thought he was going to be the set of the night because it could have gone that way.
Really,
but he wore sunglasses. Mm-hmm. People were ready to boo him immediately. They gave him a little bit of grace with his first two jokes. Like they weren't totally against him, but his saves. If a joke bombed, his save was, "Oh, well, I'm a fucking millionaire."
Yeah, I'm a millionaire.
You know what I mean? That kind of thing. Yeah. And then it started to get a little bad.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, and on TV you hear boo.
Yeah.
In the room,
just screaming.
It's, "Get the fuck off the stage!"
Wow.
Like the entire crowd of drunk people.
Oh my God!
And I'm sitting there and I'm like, "This is really funny. This is crazy. I can't believe I'm seeing this." And then I realize I've got to go next.
You're next.
And so, are you writing about that moment in that moment?
No, I'm just sitting there. I thought of one line as I was up there to say to him, just like a situation. "Nice job, by the way," kind of thing, like a very just a simple comment.
That was really funny.
But thank you. But I'm just hoping that there's the rest of the show because people on the dais, Lisa Lampanelli, Whitney Cummings, are standing up yelling, "Stop it! Let him finish!" And they're not listening to anybody.
Wow!
Right. Directors, calm down. They had to take a 10-minute break while people just calm themselves
down, and then you get up there.
Yeah. But during that break...
So you came after a break post him.
It wasn't supposed to be a break. It was supposed to go situation, all right, and up next, Anthony Jeselnik.
So you have to start the train at zero when people are already mad and they're drunk. You got to, again, start it up from like a point zero.
I saw it as an opportunity, but I also knew these first couple jokes are very crucial.
And this is your first roast that you're on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, I would be freaking out at that point.
It was. I had thought about it. I was so freaked out about it already that didn't put me over the edge.
Exactly.
You
were already there.
What else? Yeah.
Wow.
If the mic had gone out, I would have been like, all right.
That's it. I got to yell these things out.
But my favorite part of the situation is that when he's done, no one can look at him.
Right.
It's like, and we're all on this dais, and he walks over to us.
Oh God.
And we all just like feel so bad, but he walks up. And he's like smoking a cigarette. I don't know where he even got it. He's like holding a drink. And he walks up to us, and literally we're all looking at the ground. And then he just stands in front of all of us, and we kind of look up, and he goes, literally with two thumbs up, he goes, "That was good, right?"
Oh God.
And we all just went, yeah, great job, man, great job. And then he sat down, and that was it. But to his credit, he didn't run away.
No.
And is that to his credit, or is that more of...
He just stood there, and he kept telling him. He didn't get... He just kept...
Do you think he thought it was a nightmare?
I think everywhere he goes, he gets booed, and then he gets a check for $20,000.
Wrong.
I'll tell you this. I'll tell you why.
We were at the VH1...
This is before this, though. This is before that.
This is before that, but we were at VH1, Divas Salute the Troops. We were writing with Kathy Griffin. We've told the story on this show. Situation and Snooki come out unannounced in front of 20,000 troops down at Miramar, down in our Miramar base down in
San Diego.
San Diego.
20,000 troops. All right. The response that they got when they walked out, when these people realized that it was Snooki in the situation, would have been what I would have imagined the response would have been if someone said, "Hey guys, remember when we thought John Lennon was dead? Turns out he's alive. They're all alive. The Beatles have been writing songs for the last 30 years. You guys are going to get the first live concert of the Beatles ever." Oh, well, and Elvis is live too. He's going to join them. Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles and Elvis. That's the response that these guys got. So I think he is prep for that.
No, I think you guys saw him in his sweet spot. Where he had a time where he was like, where just to see the two of them would have been crazy. It was probably in the middle of season 2 or something.
And now it's annoying.
And now they would tear the stage apart if he walked out there.
That's fascinating. It would I mean, he wasn't a bad guy, so I don't wish bad on him. But like,
he wasn't a bad. He seemed like kind of just like a dumb kid who just had millions of dollars. No one could tell him, "Hey,
a lot of good clothes.
Here's how you do it."
Or good clothes, expensive clothes. Good clothes and expensive clothes are two different things.
Expensive clothes,
and expensive cars.
You said you were a Tyson fan growing up. Did you watch boxing at all, or were you into sports at all?
I liked boxing. You know, I was a big sports guy. I'm from Pittsburgh, so I was like diehard Steelers.
Are you really?
Diehard Steelers.
How old are you? You were too young for We Are Family and the
I'm
Pirates.
33. I was born in 78. So I just missed all that, but like we still kind of had.
You kind of reached back
pride,
in the 80s.
yeah.
You kind of, I mean, come on, you had Barry Bonds and Bobby Bonilla, and
you
had all those guys.
I was at all those games. Like that was a big to me.
Great teams.
So now I'm like a Pirates fan, just about until the All-Star break when they completely go to hell.
They were good last year.
They were great. They were good. Maybe this is their year to do like a Devil Rays type thing, you know, and they just didn't.
Were you a Penguins fan?
Penguins fan because that's when we got Lemieux.
That was huge. That was in your sweet spot. You were like 13, 14 years old.
2 cups. Like I remember just everyone in the city would just watch every playoff game. Like,
and Yager.
Awesome. Yeah, Yager.
Does it bum you out that he's on the Flyers? I mean, that to me would be like, I would be so upset.
He was like, people in Pittsburgh loved him as a player, but he was such a scumbag.
Was he really? He kind of looked like a dirtbag.
Yeah. He was the embodiment of what his hair was.
Exactly. He was like the Czechoslovakian. Who's the guy?
Situation.
No, the Eastbound and Down.
Yeah, Czechoslovakian. No, I can't believe I'm forgetting.
Kenny Powers.
Yeah. So like, my sister I'm the oldest of 5 kids, and the oldest sister was an ice skating teacher.
No way.
And so when I was in high school, when I was in college, actually, she taught ice skating at not South Park. I forget the name of the rink, but the same rink the Penguins practiced on.
Oh, okay.
So like Yager would hit on her relentlessly.
Of course.
And she knew all the players. Like I remember, I would sit my sister down and be like, "Tell me more Matthew Barnaby stories."
Yes,
because every Matthew Barnaby story.
Does it strike you as weird that he would get those like crazy, like he had the domestic dispute things and lost his job at ESPN? You're like, no, this is who Barnaby is.
He still has his job.
No, he does not.
They suspended him, and he came back.
But then I think he lost it again. He had a DUI and he lost it or something like that.
No.
I mean, he's like
he's a total madman. But that was what made him so great.
But these guys we were Blues fans growing up, St. Louis Blues hockey fans, and there's nothing more exciting than going to a hockey game and seeing it live.
Best sport live.
It is so, like,
it's so fast. There is no sport that is as fast as, and it's gotten faster.
Yeah.
If you watch it recently, like, I remember we watched on ESPN on Cheap Seats, our show, we watched Gretzky's second game ever, and he was, like, skating circles around. Everyone seemed like they were standing in place, and he was skating around. Now everyone's that fast, if not faster.
Well, on TV, I think it's so much worse. Because all you're waiting for is one of your guys to come out of the corner of the screen when you're watching hockey. It's like, there's a loose puck and you're hoping it's your guy and not theirs. That's it.
No, when you're watching it live, when you're watching it live,
like
and
if
you
you're
see
behind a goal,
you see a line change. Even just seeing a line change is exciting. How they figure out.
Without pucks over there, let's get everybody off and get everybody back on. That's exciting. And even if you're behind the goal is, you think it's like the worst spot behind the end zone. If you're sort of way back, that's.
But
not
you see plays develop.
You see plays develop from the beginning. It's just, I don't know. To me, it's really exciting.
Oh, I love it.
That's awesome.
That's great that you were and Pittsburgh. What a great place to grow up in terms of sports, like just all the way around. I mean, the Pirates, the Steelers have always been great.
Yeah,
Steelers. I mean, come on.
Steelers are the one team in Pittsburgh where, like, even if they're terrible, no, it doesn't matter. Like everyone loves them so much.
People love them.
Would you say when you were growing up, okay, you had some sights on comedy, or no? Did you think this is what you would be doing when you?
I loved comedy when I was younger, but it didn't seem like a viable option.
Right.
It didn't seem like, I could do that too. It seemed like that's what those guys do. But I was always a huge fan, and it wasn't until I think I was already in LA for like a year that I.
What were you doing in LA?
I came out here. I had like an internship in college with like a movie company out here.
So you were like, I want to get in the business, but I don't know what.
I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be creative somehow, but I abandoned being a novelist, which is my original goal. I wanted to be Bret Easton Ellis. I wanted to be like a superstar kid who like publishes his first like controversial novel in college, and he's like a rock star.
It's like, who is this guy?
Well, have you read all the Michael Chabon books about?
I read a bunch of them.
Pittsburgh, Mysteries of Pittsburgh,
Mysteries of Pittsburgh, of course,
and Wonder Boys, and what else was about Pittsburgh?
I can't believe we've never been to Pittsburgh. Where do you perform when you're there? I mean,
no, I don't like it that much.
That's
I performed at the Improv, which is out there. It's like in Homestead, which is like so even people who want to come and see me, it's a pain in the butt.
Is there a theater there? I mean, are you hoping that I can get
one
to
day? But I
they don't want to do it before your time.
They don't. seem to really care that I'm from Pittsburgh. Does that make sense? Like, I think that,
Well,
that
I
they would
didn't
go
know.
like,
I didn't know that. Honestly, like, what's crazy about the attitude that you create on stage, I think a lot of people probably assume you're from New York. I mean, is that
I get a New York or LA kind of thing. I don't really talk like I'm from Pittsburgh that much.
Right.
But still, like, they introduced me as like, he's a local boy, you know, but they just don't seem to really care. And I don't think it's like, I don't feel slighted or anything, but I'm like, I'm not going to go there and
Pittsburgh's a lot like St. Louis. City built on a river. A lot of like kind of blue collar people there. It's, you know, into their sports. And it's like a major identity thing. But not a huge artsy town. Like Minneapolis is a town that's built on the arts. Like, rock and roll is in that city.
Yeah.
And so when you go and do stand up at Acme, you can hit the edge and people come out and love it.
Yeah.
Or the Varsity Theater, which we will be at. People come out and they support comedy. I feel like in St. Louis, it's more, you have to really find the people who are into the alt comedy.
I love St. Louis. I do very well at that Funny Bone.
Funny Bone,
great.
My
favorite thing about St. Louis was when I was there, it snowed one day, like really bad. It was like 6 inches in like April, and I was like, "What's going on?"
Yeah, St. Louis.
I was like, "Are you guys going to cancel the show tonight?" It was like maybe 8 inches during the day, and they said, "No, we're going to have great shows tonight because in St. Louis, when it snows, more people go out and drink because they know they can drive drunk." Right. Because everyone's driving so slowly, and I laughed, and I was like, "That's
so
hilarious!
Funny.
You do that on stage." He was a comic, and he goes, "Oh, I'm not kidding." And I would even stop on stage, and everyone was like, "Yeah,
that's right." They won't laugh.
Louis.
They'll just be like, "Yeah, St. Louis."
Like, yep, that's the way it goes. That's so
hometown.
cool. I didn't realize that. Like, we kind of that's a similar kind of background.
Yeah, very
you
much.
know?
Very
But so now, what is for you? What would be a perfect pathway for you as you move forward in this industry? As you're doing what you're doing,
You probably achieved a lot of your goals. You probably wanted to do stand up on TV, and you've done it. And you want to do the roasts, and you've done it. Now what?
Yeah, you know, I've achieved. Like, if you had told me when I started 9 years ago that I would one day get to put out like an album, I would have been like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah.
You know, if I get to do a half an hour on Comedy Central, oh my god! But now I'm going to do an hour special in a few months. You know,
Awesome.
which I can't believe.
Where are you
It's the
recording?
roast, Chicago, I believe.
Where in Chicago?
We had the Vic Theater for May 19th, and then I found out that's the same weekend as the G8 Summit in Chicago.
Hey,
I was like,
ouch.
yank that. So
Yeah.
I think I'm trying to go like June 2nd at the Vic Theater there.
Nice.
So
Great.
hoping that'll be good.
So cool.
But then like, you know, being on the roast is like everything I could ever want. That now I'm just kind of happy to. It's like a new
It
era
opens
in
it
my
up.
career that like I'm just doing what's fun and going on the road and I'm always trying to develop new material. And
Yeah.
every joke is 30 seconds long, so to come up with a new hour.
How
it takes-
hard was that to do?
I mean, my CD was 8 years in the making, or like 7.5 years in the making. Then the second,
Sounds
it's
about
taken me a
right.
year and a half to turn it over, and I can't believe it. But it's going on the road every weekend and doing
That's
6 or 7
unbelievable.
shows, and if I have 2 new jokes a weekend, I'm thrilled.
You're ecstatic.
So yeah, so that's awesome.
great.
And I've got this, you know, this pilot I'm working on that if that happened, that could be cool. I just
Awesome.
want to get as much of my comedy out. I think every comic's goal is just to get as much of their comedy out there.
Get your voice out
As we
there
can.
and let it be heard. Are you excited about, what do you think about Sidney Crosby? Do you think he's ever coming back?
I honestly, I don't know how most people feel about this, but I think that the neck injury thing is sounds good to me. It's like, oh, now we found what it is because it
Yeah.
wasn't a concussion,
Right.
I just every time I see that hit replayed, I think of Eric Lindros.
Yes,
and I think
that's
of
right.
all that horrible potential. And Crosby's such a positive attitude. He's not mad at Pittsburgh.
No.
He still practically I think he still lives with Lemieux,
Which
I
is
think
so
he
funny.
goes over there all the time.
That was an amazing story. Like, that should be a show. Like, I don't know why HBO
Yes.
didn't do like the inside of that.
The 24/7 of just like
Of
one
in
weekend
their
with
home.
them.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
Hockey players are the coolest. They're almost like MMA fighters in how respectful they are.
Yes.
They all seem the same intelligence. No one seems smarter than them, and they would never talk out of line.
That's Yeah. right,
You know,
yeah.
ever. All those like the wide receivers you see mouthing off in the NFL, their teammates would kill them.
So
in the
you're saying
NHL.
black people. Okay.
Okay.
All right, just want to get that clear. No. But what's amazing is isn't that amazing then when you hear the story about the St. Louis Blues guy who wanted to have his wife killed? Do you
Yeah.
remember that story? That was
Yeah.
just like an insane.
Yeah.
You're like, wait, I thought for myself, I can't believe this is a hockey player doing this.
Yeah.
It just
This
seems
guy's
so weird. It
You know
seemed
what's
out of
kind of
step.
you know what's kind of funny about hockey, and it makes almost sense that you would like it because it is in a sense metaphoric to your comedy. I feel like because all the violence, all the craziness is right out there on the ice, and you're a really nice guy underneath it all. You're not a mean person at all, but when you're on stage, you're doing that. You're the gloves are off.
It's like, look,
literally.
we can fight up here.
Yeah, it's just funnier that way.
It's funnier that way. It's more entertaining. It's really entertaining, and that's what hockey is. The gloves are off on the ice, and then when they leave, they're nice guys.
Yeah.
And that's not to sum up your comedy.
Not so much comedy in one thing,
That's a
but
bit of a stretch, so don't worry about it.
All right, I love
Not much of a summary.
I love it. Let's do some quick hits when we come back. You can join in as we sort of rip the hell out of Jose Canseco. You want to do that?
Absolutely.
All right. Anthony Jeselnik. This is Hey Boy by the Magic Kids. When we come back, quick hits with Jeselnik on Sklarbro Country. Stay with us. All right, welcome back to the show. We were just talking about the pilot in the break, and I hope it goes for Comedy Central. It's very exciting, and it could be a very good thing for you. But if not, whatever. You'll go on to other things and do other things. You keep creating.
Thanks.
That's the create. Yeah, basically, Randy's saying it's not going to happen. So
You guys should knit pillows. That's very inspirational.
Yep. Yeah, you should. I should knit, but I have knit. I have knit a pillow in my life.
Really?
I've knitted a pillow.
Did it say something?
It had a football on it, and then we stuffed it with old underwear. Mm-hmm. This is Quick Hits. Cyrus on the 8s and 11s hit us. Thank you, brother. This is the first thing I thought when I watched the movie Moneyball was how long is it going to take for Jose Canseco to try and capitalize on this? Here's the answer: less than 6 months. Okay, so after seeing the movie, he tweeted directly at Billy Bean, which is always better than the direct message.
Absolutely.
Like, you know how desperate someone is.
I don't believe Billy Bean follows Jose Canseco.
I agree with you. I don't think he does. Says, quote, Billy Bean, call me. Would love to DH for you. Just give me a tryout. That's all I ask. I think the just is the part where it starts to get pathetic. Just give me a tryout.
Like, well, you know, Ricky Henderson used to do that every year. He would call up people like GMs and just be like, "Hey, Ricky needs a job.
Ricky needs a job,"
and they would put him in the minor leagues.
This is how I know you're a sports fan. You let Ricky refer to himself as Ricky. That's in your story, in your telling of the story. You know, the best part is that Jose Canseco's profile picture is of him celebrity boxing on Twitter, so you know he's committed to baseball. I can't believe Bean hasn't gotten back to him on this one. I'm surprised he didn't tweet at Brad Pitt to try to get a tryout with the A's. Yeah, because that's how dumb I feel like he is. By the way, that tweet is eerily similar to a tweet that he drew out to Lady Gaga. I don't know if you know. He's like tweeted out at Lady Gaga, just wide open. He tweeted her. What did he say? Said, I love Lady Gaga. Wish I could meet her. Would marry her in a second. Wow. And then he tweeted, I'm her knight. Where are you? I'm her knight in baseball armor. N-I-G-H-T. N-I-G-H-T. Really? I mean, I understand, like, Twitter, you want to cut down the characters and whatnot, but N-I-G-H-T, you're like one. No, but it makes sense.
Baseball armor sounds like he's, like, wearing the catcher's pads.
Right. Yeah, exactly. He's got the all the catcher's gear on. Which is what he does when he... and by the way, but him calling himself her knight in N-I-G-H-T... It makes sense, because he's like a shroud of darkness that, like, sucks over somebody and drags them down. Never allowing her to see daylight would be... Pulling her into a black void. And here's this other tweet to her. Hey, Lady Gaga, where are you? Did you get my marriage proposal? I'm at Coco Casino in Yuma, Arizona. I'm sure at that moment she'd be like, wait, get the plane. Get the plane. He's at Coco Casino. Let's get out there right now. All 40 of us. Let me get the chicken lady costume on. So much wrong with that tweet, by the way, starting from the fact that he didn't spell out the words R and U, but spelled out the whole word Arizona. Like, didn't abbreviate Arizona. He's like, we can't, I can't spell out Y-O-U. It has to be U, but I can't do A-Z. It's like, I have to let her know where I am. She might not. I feel like anyone who can't manage their character account, account, or the character count on Twitter. You're on Twitter, yes, sir?
Yeah.
That's a perfect,
at Anthony Jeselnik.
Do you write jokes on Twitter?
I used to. No, I stopped. Now I'll write a joke if I'm like, there's no way this could go in my act. It's too stupid or silly. But I usually try to keep it with like current event stuff that I would lose in my act anyway. I don't like that ambiguity between the two. Ambiguity between the two just drives me crazy that I can't.
Yeah, because you don't want to burn material, and you don't want people to be like, "Oh, I know that." And for you, it is very much. For Randy and I, we don't get to write jokes like that. So Twitter for us is great because we'll usually not use most of those jokes. Or
it's the start of a bit.
It's a starting point for a larger bit of many more jokes. But for you almost have to keep your punchlines private, so that there is a literal punch at the end of each.
Totally. Even if it's just in my head, I hate that feeling of like, these guys saw this on Twitter.
Right.
Yeah. And whether they did or they didn't.
Yeah.
I just want to go through Canseco's logic in terms of getting Lady Gaga. First of all, Lady Gaga been compared to Madonna. Okay. Canseco was with Madonna.
She wanted him to have her baby, isn't that right?
Yeah, she wanted him to have her steroid.
Or she wanted to have his
baby. She wanted to have his baby, and he said no.
And when was this? Was this like Bash Brothers days, or was this
Bash Brothers?
recent?
Bash
Brothers days.
This is definitely not recently.
This is pre-A-Rod, pre-Madonna with A-Rod. So he probably feels like if he can tell Madonna no, then Lady Gaga has to say yes to him.
Yeah.
He's probably like putting on that, like when people, like actors see people like in things where they're like, I'm funnier than that person, I should be up there. It's that logic right there.
That's the logic that I think gets a lot of people into comedy too. You see not a good comic, and they're like, I can do that.
I could do that.
Yeah.
It's the same logic that allowed Carl Lewis to think that he could sing the national anthem. He's like, I could do that.
I could do what?
My voice can go up. And
I can go. Yeah, you can do that. You also cannot do the other things that you need to be able to do.
My question is, about his record of having the boxing match at the Hard Rock in Florida, and then sending his brother to
twin brother
Ozzy to box for him.
No, I didn't hear about that.
Oh, and people got upset because Ozzy doesn't have the same tattoos as
there's a huge poster of Jose Canseco and like no like barbed wire tattoo around his bicep, and you're like, oh god, terrible,
terrible.
Wow. If I'm Lady Gaga, I'm thinking, what if I show up at the Coco Casino and it's Ozzy?
Yeah.
You gotta ask.
Yeah.
And the only way to check that is to look how tinted his windows are. Ozzy is really
arrested for tinted windows. This is crazy. I want to go to the Karl Malone one because Karl Malone had to buy a scalp ticket in order to see a Utah Jazz game. That's what he's claiming. Did you hear about this?
I heard this, and I do not believe it for a second.
You don't believe it for a second?
I don't believe that people wouldn't throw their own tickets at Karl Malone if he walked anywhere near the
think
stadium.
you literally have to mail it to him.
You do.
You would have to put the post in. Why isn't Karl Malone doing ads for Stamps.com?
He should be doing Stamps.com.
Where is his agent on this whole thing?
The other thing is that anyone who's ever played on the Jazz should be able to just walk right into the... Like, it's not hard to tell who Karl Malone is.
Yeah.
He's about 8 inches taller than He's 8 inches tall, and he's black, and he's in Utah.
Yeah.
He should be able to just walk right in and just sit on the bench if he wants to.
He represents all the black people in Utah.
He does. That's it.
He's an amalgam of all of them. He's like a golem.
He is.
But the thing about it is that I wouldn't mention scalp in Karl Malone, because didn't he do those Rogaine commercials? I just wouldn't.
Those are two words that shouldn't go. He did a lot of commercials.
He wants to be an assistant coach.
Does
he? And they're like, there's no. Yeah, he wants to be an assistant coach on the team, and they said like you don't have the discipline. You're like crazy and unreliable.
They said unreliable. That was the thing.
They're saying he's crazy, like a loose cannon.
Yeah, like it's like how like Jordan got fired from. What was he?
Or Jabbar. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the greatest scorer in the history of the game.
Can't even get a high school coaching job.
Cannot get a high school. I mean, what?
He's burned that many bridges, so they say.
Yeah.
It's pretty insane. Like Karl Malone,
he's just got bad judgment. If you've seen the shape-up ads that he did, remember he had those shape-up shoes?
Anyone in the shape-up ads is hurting from money. So,
hurting.
That's the Montana rule. Like, what was the Montana? Did he have like the ball on a string?
No, he took the ball and he threw it out of the stadium, which we said on this show. When would you ever want your quarterback?
You know what I call that? Someone throws the ball out of the stadium? That's 2nd and 10.
That's 2nd and 10. That's a shitty throw.
That's a horrible thing. No, that does nothing to anybody. It's not baseball. You're not trying to hit it out of the ballpark.
He never... Malone, as good as he was, and the second leading scorer of all time.
Of all time.
He never won the big game, or never won the big series.
And maybe that's what it comes down to.
Won a championship banner in Utah. Mormons never forget that stuff.
Isn't that true? Like Mormons are like elephants, they never forget.
I know they're like elephants, but that's not why.
They're like elephants. They love to have sex. No, come on. I don't know. I just feel like, didn't he wrestle?
He wrestled in '98 with Dennis Rodman, Hulk Hogan, and Diamond Dallas Page.
He was with Diamond. I watched that. I watched
You
that
did?
match. Yeah.
No!
He was huge too.
Malone, right?
Malone looked like he was bigger than most of the wrestlers. It was awesome.
He's gigantic. Like, you forget that Malone, when you see a basketball player along other giant people, like he dwarfed, Hulk Hogan's like maybe 6'6".
Yeah.
6'5".
So he's like probably 6'5", right?
6'5". He's huge, but like Malone's 6'9".
Yeah.
That's a totally different
Remember
ballgame.
the wingspan was fucking crazy.
Huge, and he was thick. He wasn't just big; he was like a thick dude.
So if you're the Utah, I think the Utah ownership is like, wait a minute, you could have just called me and I would have given you my ticket, and that's like kind of their response to this whole thing. But they're like, you're crazy. He's crazy. Like, don't believe what Karl Malone is saying. He's crazy. And to me, I would be like, why hasn't Karl Malone done much more? Oh yeah, he's probably crazy.
He's probably crazy.
Yeah, I don't understand why he hasn't been crazier. Do you know what I mean? Like, if
You
you're gonna
want him to be crazy.
Yeah, like now that he's on Twitter, that's how that's how people figured out, right? That
That's
he
right.
Needed tickets.
That's right. He's on Twitter.
He was going to
He's
go.
got to go all Iron Sheik on it, right? He's just got to
Big
get like
time.
super.
Have you followed his Twitter feed?
I only see the ones that like people will retweet, but they're hilarious. I almost want to follow him, but I'm like, I don't want to ruin it. I feel like I see the best ones.
Yeah, exactly.
Didn't he take shots at us?
He did.
He took shots at us
Called
because
us jabronis.
Jabronis.
Oh my god, the worst thing you can be called.
That's
worst.
horrible to be called by that. I mean, he's having his own celebrity.
I
roast.
heard he called Mraz Jabrani a jabroni.
How do you do that?
That's terrible.
Is that even an insult to
I don't
him?
know. Country singer Randy Travis apologized for being arrested for public drunkenness after his Super Bowl party this Sunday. More specifically,
After the Super Bowl, but more specifically,
his party. Let's start with the Denton County Sheriff's statement about this. Travis was found outside of a church with an open wine bottle in his car, reeking of alcohol.
Yeah.
This Sunday night.
Anytime you're drinking wine from a bottle outside in
In your car, you're a wino, right?
You're a wino.
But at the end of a Super Bowl party,
After a Super Bowl party.
I feel like anything.
Isn't it over?
Anything goes. Yeah.
Anything goes? Really?
Yeah, you can be drinking a bottle of wine. If you're at church, I feel like that balances out.
Yeah,
Really?
maybe. I
go
don't
to
know.
a church,
I feel
man.
like at the end of a Super Bowl party, I couldn't put any liquid or food in my body at that point.
I was
I'd eaten that
full.
much.
I was full.
I don't get drunk at Super Bowl parties because I've been known to lose my mind during the game, and I won't. I'm so
You
scared
see
of that.
one too many GoDaddy commercials, and someone is going to get sexually harassed.
Exactly.
And you say to yourself, you know what? I do respect Danica Patrick as a race car driver. At
By the
this
way,
point.
I'm bummed that the word wino has exited our lexicon.
Yeah,
People
why
don't
did
use
that
it.
drop
Like
out?
when Richard Pryor was around, he used to do like tons of
bits
wino
about wine.
characters.
The bit Pryor's bit about the wino seeing Dracula is one of the
just
greatest. comedy bits.
winos being
Only concerned about losing their wine. They don't care about anything.
they could be
else.
faced with the most dangerous situation ever. And the guy's
What's
like,
your name? Dracula? Dracula? What's
I
that?
guess wino. I think meth killed the wino.
Meth killed the
Video
wino.
killed the radio star. Meth killed the wino.
Yeah.
There
I
it
love
is.
it. So I feel like Randy. Travis,
Maybe he's going to bring wino back,
Bring it back, man.
Timberlake brought sexy back. He'll bring wino back.
Maybe. I just like that he was outside of a church. I mean, that's what you're saying is that it balanced it out.
Like maybe he was appealing to God for forgiveness for what he was about to do.
I think that's just where he goes to troll for pussy.
That's right.
Randy Travis. I mean, was there a better way?
Go to church, baby.
You got to go.
Well, his big song was Forever
And
Ever
Ever
and
and
Amen.
Amen.
That's
Yeah.
right. Which wasn't
Maybe-
that a Ben Folds song?
Maybe they forgot to put the
album.
word drunk in front of forever. Amen.
Drunk forever and ever and amen.
I don't know.
I think he's angling to be the next Hank Williams Jr.
He's trying to be rowdy on a Sunday night. Look, me and my rowdy friends. I'm rowdy. Look at me. I could fill in for this thing.
This is his statement that he released. This is just so great because it shows you where his head is at as he's saying it. He's like, I apologize for what resulted following an evening of celebrating at the Super Bowl. He was just celebrating the way everybody celebrates after a Super Bowl, alone with an open bottle of wine in
his
front
car.
of a church, right?
That's it.
Was he driving?
He was alone. He got there.
I didn't realize he was such a Giants fan.
Yeah.
He was celebrating something. If you're celebrating that, you're celebrating that the Giants won.
Yeah.
I think every day is a celebration for a good Christian like that.
That's
Yeah,
right.
it is. It
Well,
is.
nothing says music. Nothing says country
Giants.
music more than
the Giants and like the Giants and country music go together like Tom Coughlin and Smiling.
Exactly.
They can latch on to Eli.
That's
it.
right.
You know what I mean, they just like that name.
That's a guy. Eli. That's
Like,
a very
it's
biblical name.
Jebediah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Almost.
That's right.
Man, look, what if he is celebrating the Super Bowl?
Let's take him at his word.
That's all that happened. There was a good chance in Randy's mind that that maybe the Super Bowl or this victory wasn't going to happen.
Maybe he was just celebrating the fact that there was a Super Bowl.
Yeah, he said, look, we could have been locked out this year. There could have been no Super Bowl. I'm just going to celebrate the fact that there was football.
I'm celebrating the Super Bowl.
Maybe it's a Black History Month thing.
Yeah,
he's been on a bender.
That's
since
right.
the first. You know, I mean, it could be he's excited about the 6 more weeks of winter.
6 more weeks of winter.
You don't know, there's so many things going on with Randy Travis.
Yeah. There's so many more. You're saying there's so many reasons he can
check out his mugshot. Maybe we can throw up a link to his mugshot because it's just great.
He's smiling like he's in a yearbook picture.
He clearly doesn't understand that he was booked for something.
That's how drunk he is. He's smiling like he just farted, but it was silent, and everyone's about to experience.
He's like, something's coming, guys.
Here it comes.
So get ready. And then
I'm Travis, and I'm doing it.
Tell us where people can find out where you're going to be next. Your website.
My website is anthonyjeselnik.com.
Spell it so these people know what the hell.
If you Google Anthony Jeselnik and you get even close, it will help you out. But it's Jeselnik.
See him if he comes to your town. That's absolutely. He's working on this pilot for the next month, but then he goes back and hits the road. It is a super
follow him
treat.
on Twitter. See him. Obviously, if you've seen the roast or want to go online and check some of that stuff out, you'll realize how sharp.
Watch him post situation. He handles the situation that was.
You handled the situation.
I didn't
the situation put you in.
I didn't realize that there was a 10-minute break in between. That makes what you did even more impressive to me. That it got cold for 10 minutes to try to cool everyone down. That was really impressive.
Oh, thank you.
Unbelievable. Thank you for coming on the show. And when we come back,
a very special guest to talk about the Super Bowl on Sklarbro. A new guest on the show. This, by the way, July Flame by Laura Veers. Another Cyrus pick.
Thank you, Cyrus.
This is Sklarbro Country. Stay with us.
All right, welcome back to Sklarbro Country. In our final segment here, before we get to our final guest, I want to read a couple of emails.
Let's do that.
I love that you guys are emailing. Also, I love that people are commenting on the comments page, which I would say on the episode pages. I love when there's just a long stream of comments and people are talking to each other.
Go to the Earwolf page, and if you, by the way, I just bought something for my son through Amazon.com, and I only now go through the Earwolf page because it does kick money back to the show. It's a way to give. If you want to flat out give too, we're not going to fight you on that one as well.
All right. Hey, Sklars, I was listening to your bit about Hooters being international, and I, for one, can tell you that it is. For a little background, my family and I have been going to Hooters for Mother's Day for years. Shut up. Shut up.
What?
Best Mother's Day ever.
Who is their mom?
Parenthetically,
Charo?
A fact that I love telling any of my stuffy friends and associates. I love that you call your stuffy friend Stuffy. In fact, I think the first time I went
I love that he calls him Stuffy and he's still friends with him.
The first time I went to Hooters was with my extended family, mom, dad, sister, aunts, uncles, cousins, and most importantly, grandparents.
Hello.
At the original Hooters in Clearwater, Florida. You better believe that is in
That's
Clearwater,
a Florida convection.
right? My grandfather used to tell the waitresses that it was my birthday. It was not.
Of course, just like our mom and
And
dad.
needless to say, the girls singing to me for my, quote, birthday was the highlight of my high school career. In parentheses, isn't that sad? It's not really.
No, it isn't.
Anyway, after years after my grandfather had passed, I was visiting Korea, South. Thanks for really you weren't in North Korea, just kicking it around.
The North Korean Hooters is not nearly as good. The North Korean Bennigan's, though, better.
Phenomenal.
Okay.
That is a blues busting joint right there.
Yeah, it is.
And it happened upon a sign for a Hooters in Seoul. My heart fluttered with it was the taste of home from so far away. We walked in only to be turned away due to a private party.
Oh!
My spirits were sunk. I stood on the entrance sign, a defeated man, but suddenly, as if my grandfather was looking down on me from above, an employee of Hooters Seoul came out and invited my friends and I into Hooters to a quiet table in the back. Yes. It was a terrific bet. It was terrific. Better than I had ever hoped. The food reminded me of home and buoyed my spirits and made me once again grateful to my grandfather.
I know two things on every woman help buoy this. Do they have
Kevin in Chicago? P.S. I saw you at the main stage, one of our favorite places to perform. I was the guy who gave you $10 for a CD that I, quote, borrowed over the internet, which I thought was super cool, dude.
He got the thing for free.
He borrowed it for free, but then he paid us. Thanks for being cool and not reporting me. I want to read this next email, too. Sklar away. It's Alex, who's in Chicago as well, the guy who has done the music blog and compiled all the music
that we've played on this show.
This dude is one of my favorite. He's one of the most valuable players in the Sklarbro country history.
In the country.
From the musical archives, here with a thought. There's been some traction lately in the Free Steve Nash movement to get the Phoenix Suns to trade him from their awful team, with NBA TV analyst Chris Webber even starting a chant during a recent broadcast. Now, I'm not usually one to side with players making millions of dollars a year to play a game in which they're when they're looking for a trade, but I think this is a case that might help. So I'm proposing that the Suns trade Steve Nash to the Columbus Blue Jackets for right winger Rick Nash.
What? A Nash on Nash trade?
Hear me out. Rick
Katie Nash, can we get her involved?
What about Jason Nash? Rick Nash is in a similar situation as fellow Nash Steve. Blue Jackets are in a situation as dire as the Suns, with Rick Nash being their one lone bright spot. People recognize Nash's ability and bemoan the fact that he has to toil in obscurity in Columbus. Who doesn't toil in obscurity in Columbus?
Very few people.
That, combined with the fact that both gentlemen are Canadian, makes this a match made in trading places heaven. He wants to make this a trading places
movie.
I think that the trade could actually just become a temporary loan. Now we're talking soccer terms, a loan window that would allow each Nash to appreciate his current situation when he returns to his original team, which is really what all those Switch movies
is all about. It's the spirit of like Vice Versa and all those Switch movies.
For Steve, who would appreciate the fact that his basketball uniform is so easy to take on and off, but also living in Columbus, he could come to appreciate his home in the Phoenix area. Finally, while having a gorilla representing a team called the Suns might be considered incongruous, Steve will actually find it an upgrade after playing for a team named after clothing that is represented by a green-colored yellow jacket.
Hello. Or it could be isn't it a B that they're...
Yeah, for Rick, by playing in the NBA, he would realize how much better he has in the NHL as a white Canadian. And while he might enjoy Phoenix over Columbus, he will be happy that his NHL travel schedule never takes him to Sacramento.
Boom.
Zoom. The NBA and NHL can even team up and put on an HBO 24/7 like show called Building Nash Bridges, co-narrated by Don Johnson and Cheech Marin. I think it's a win-win for everyone. Alex, you have crafted this email as well as you have crafted the music playlist on Sklarbro Country.
Thank you, brother.
Great job.
All right, we've been teasing that we are having a special new guest to Sklarbro Country. He has not been on the calming shores yet. I don't think he's a very calming presence.
Or maybe he is.
In his own right.
Mellowed in
to
his old days.
People. He can jump right in. Sir, you can jump right in.
I appreciate the introduction. It's wonderful to be here. Randy and Jason, thanks for having me again.
Pat Buchanan is here. Which is just, again, bizarre, but I'm happy to have you here.
Sklarbro Country and sports create strange bedfellows, and so now we are with you. You have something to say about the Super Bowl.
We are strange bedfellows. Just stay on your side of the bed.
That's right. Hey, we'll put make like a pillow fortress in between us.
I believe firmly that we need to build a wall to keep the Sklars from coming over from the other side of the bed.
All right, we're writing policy right here.
That's what Buchanan does.
All right, Pat. Now, can I call you Pat or Mr. Buchanan? Or
Sure. Yeah, I can't tell the difference if it's Randy or Jason, so I'll say go for each one.
Okay. All right. So
Randy's talking now. Randy, please explain to him. Well,
you reached out to us because you said you had something to say about the Super Bowl. This is a perfect forum for you to get it out there.
Week after the Super Bowl.
Did you watch the Super Bowl?
Jason, I watched the Super Bowl.
I'm Randy. That's
Randy.
Okay.
Randy, I apologize. Jason,
Yeah,
I was watching the Super Bowl last Sunday, and I, along with millions of Americans, were horribly upset at the display of blatant homoerotic feminism during the most important holiday for white, straight Americans, Super Bowl Sunday.
That is
an American tradition.
By the way, it is smack dab in the middle of Black History Month. You do know that.
I understand that Black History Month is celebrated by some multiculturalists. But I'm a firm believer that Super Bowl Sunday is a sacred day for the celebration of American male masculinity, for breadwinners, and for men out there who worship Jesus Christ and play football.
All right, but you also made it white there for a second. There are a lot of black football players.
Yeah,
there are black football players, and I believe that they have a place in America. I am not racist, and I would object to any coloring of my character as being racist.
Wait a minute.
There it is. All right.
So
you took umbrage with, I'm assuming you're talking not about the Ferris Bueller ad campaign, you're talking about the halftime show.
What I am talking, the Ferris Bueller, I thought the Ferris Bueller was funny. I thought it was fair.
Of course,
I thought it was fair to both sides.
Fair and balanced.
Fair.
Because it's always upsetting. You're always going to agree with Pat Buchanan on something. It's going to drive you crazy.
I got sad when I watched the Ferris Bueller thing because I saw the sadness in Broderick's eyes.
I was like, really? You couldn't get
sense
Sloan?
The sadness in his eyes?
You couldn't get Sloan?
Couldn't get Sloan.
I think he's been locked up, and I agree with it. I think he's locked up, and I hope he's being tortured.
No, Sloan is a woman.
But that's fine.
Whatever.
Thank you.
Whatever.
Pat doesn't know. He doesn't need to know.
So, again, the halftime show is what you're talking about. Madonna being carried in by all those, laddered up
What
dudes.
we saw was a blatant pagan ritual.
Mm-hmm. That's how it started.
Ushering in the events of 2012. And I'm addressing it in my book, my upcoming book,
which is
it's called "White America is Under Attack by Madonna, Gays, and Jews."
Wow.
And I think that's exactly
We're Jews.
Wait, Madonna might be under all those classifications.
She could be gay and Jewish. I don't know. She studies Kabbalah.
She worships the Kabbalah. Mm-hmm. She's honorary homosexual.
Well, that's true.
And she is a brazen example of feminism out of control. Now, I support the liberation of women up to a point.
Up to a point. What point?
Washing machines and dishwashers.
What?
Wait a minute.
I believe are there to free women from the backbreaking labor that they knew in my grandmother's generation.
Cleaning clothes on a stone right by a river.
And I think that's progress, and I think that's where it should have stopped.
It ends right there.
It ends there because what we saw last Sunday, we saw a Roman-style pagan ritual where Madonna was carried in on the backs of blacks, Mexicans, and Jews into the middle of the football stadium.
He's not lying. I mean, it is true.
On the most sacred day to Aryans in our country.
Well, wait a minute. This just got from white to Aryan. Right. Hold on a second.
The problem here is that this is 2012, and we're seeing not only homosexuality on display with the blatant dance moves.
They were blatant.
There were act-outs. There were act-outs of a blatant sadomasochistic nature.
There were act-outs.
There were non-white people on that stage doing horrible things to the white people.
Okay, wait a minute. No. I do think that there were a couple of times, like when she couldn't get up on the bleacher.
Yeah.
I thought that was that was an act-out of an old woman trying to be young again.
Yeah. Yes.
Randy, can I look you in the eyes?
Jason.
I'm Jason.
Randy, I want to look you straight in the eyes.
Do it.
Man to man. And I want to say this. I believe in America, there was not long ago, where a football coach like Vince Lombardi wouldn't have stood for that. If there had been such a display by a beauty queen during a masculine ritual of straight heterosexuality, he would have turned to his team and he would have said, "Shoot up, men. You're going to go out there on the field and you're going to tackle Madonna.
Wait a minute.
And you're going to smear the queers.
Wait a minute.
And you're going to grab Madonna and take her into the end zone for an extra point.
Come on.
Wait, I don't know.
That sounds like gang rape. Now, Jason, your wife, who doesn't watch sports, how does she feel about football? You're talking about a heterosexual ritual that is the NFL.
My wife, every time she watches football, is trying to convince me that it is gay, that it is full of homoerotic
behavior, and you're like, it is not.
And wife has a point, and if she's making that point in private, she's entitled to her opinion.
Yeah, but
as a woman, she's entitled to.
So long as she's making that point, the privacy of your own home, I have no problem with it.
Not speaking out amongst other people.
Exactly, but I think that's a very good point, and I have talked to women about this. I think there is an encroachment of homosexuality in our American sports. You're seeing the undulation of thighs.
Yes, absolutely. Which, by the way, that should be the title of your new book, The Undulation of Thighs. That would be a fantastic title.
That is the title of my next column in Creator Syndicate coming out this week.
Okay, The Undulation of Thighs.
You can read it in your local newspaper, sponsored by corporate interests.
Okay.
Of course it is.
But not in particular.
I want to tell you this story because it's very important to my heart.
Let's hear it, please.
As a Catholic, and therefore elected to go to heaven after this life on earth.
Oh, wait a minute.
What I want to say is that I served under Ronald Reagan.
Yes, you did.
And we saw this threat coming as early as the 1980s. We assessed that Madonna was a Soviet mole and a threat to American capitalism, and I proposed in the 1980s that we send a crack team of Navy SEALs to abduct Madonna during her Blonde Ambition tour.
Wait a minute.
And bring her to the White House for questioning.
And literally, and you would waterboard her. Everything's possible.
Anything's available.
We would have done it. Except Oliver North got tangled up in the Iran-Contra scandal.
That's what put a kibosh on
the Iran-Contra scandal kept you from waterboarding Madonna.
That's exactly right. Well, I won't get into the intelligence details because I'm not authorized to, and I'm loyal to my president.
Okay, well, that's what happened. I can't believe it.
I believe that.
We're getting some very sensitive information.
There's some young people out there who play Pop Warner football, play high school football, who look up to their players, who want to be a masculine man, and what you saw there was the ritual of American
paganism,
athletic masculinity in service of Jesus Christ, being emasculated in the most important way. the pinnacle of football, the Super Bowl Sunday.
It is the pinnacle of football. I'm not going to agree. Disagree with you.
Madonna circumcised in a Jewish ritual the American penis, and then cut it off in a ritual of emasculation and homosexuality.
Hang on a second. I'm going to try and make sense of this. But first of all, when Madonna was chosen, I myself, Mr. Buchanan, said that's a weird choice. That is a strange. Why?
It is weird. It's weird. You might as well have gone with Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Come on. All right,
it's wonderful to be here.
Current reference. He's making
very current. I think that Tim Curry should have been locked in chains and put in a dungeon until he grew a beard that looked shameful.
You're still.
He almost was. Anger. He almost did. He did the movie Clue. So
he did Clue.
So don't forget that. He had his own.
That might have been his own
form of punishment.
Okay. All right. All right.
I don't know if it's a good thing to make Pat Buchanan laugh. I don't know.
Yeah. Is that where you want to do?
I'm avuncular. I'm happy to be here.
I don't know if you are.
I'm always a good time, which is why I keep getting invited by Jews and women's and gays and blacks, even though I hate them.
Come on.
It's true.
And that's a perfect way to end our show today.
I think that is a perfect way to end our show today.
What I want to say, if I could just get one more thing in here, I do want to say that I believe I've said this. I said this on Rachel Maddow, and I don't think I got my point across.
Did you say it on her show or just on top of her?
I said it while standing on top of Rachel Maddow in a ritual of masculinity.
Okay.
Sure. Foot to the neck.
I said that I believe that there are too many Jews and gays in podcasting.
Oh, man.
And I'm going to look you here in the eye right now, Randy.
That's Jason.
I'm Jason.
I'm going to look you here in the eye, Jason.
No, I'm Randy.
And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to look you man to Jew in the eye. And I'm going to tell you there's too many Jews in podcasting.
You might be right.
I'm being outnumbered right now, 2-1.
That's right. Uh-huh. That is for sure.
Well, there you
Cyrus kind of makes it,
Cyrus evens it out a little bit, but wow. All right.
All right. Well, look, I'm glad you came on. I'm glad you shared your thoughts. All thoughts should be here.
Yeah.
Should be
well,
here.
We're not here to crush the Buchanans of the world. I think you laid it out perfectly.
And I bet there are people who listen to our show who may feel the same way.
I might agree with you, Pat Buchanan.
It's a silent majority that's out there. Nixon found it. Nixon tapped into it.
All right, okay. Don't look back at the Nixon years as the glory days.
All right, okay? You know what? He's entitled to do
They're
that.
the halcyon days to which we have to return.
Okay. Where are you performing next? You got any shows coming up that we can see?
I'll be doing Pat Buchanan and Friends at the Meltdown Theater in West Hollywood.
Okay,
fantastic.
There you go.
There it is. Pat Buchanan and Friends.
I'm assuming Tucker Carlson will make an appearance.
He might make an appearance.
I'm assuming he'll be there, and maybe the guy John Sklarbro.
You never know.
Sklarbro country.
Chuck Sklarbro.
Chuck Sklarbro?
I don't think it's John. Is it Chuck?
I don't know who it is.
It's Joe Sklarbro. It's Joe Sklarbro. He's on message on social issues, but I disagree with him when it comes to economics.
All right, fine. We put it out there. Pat Buchanan on Sklarbro Country.
What a show. 81 in the books. Anthony Jeselnik, Pat Buchanan. We appreciate you guys being here. This is Michael Kiwanuka.
Oh, yeah, I love this guy. Super cool. Different old sound and stuff.
Tell me a tale.
It sounds great. It sounds like the 1950s.
All right, there it is.
You could wash clothes to this as a woman
and be
content.
Stop. Want to thank Dan Van Kirk,
who is our new intern, who's providing
doing
us
great
with
stuff for
research.
us. Love that guy. Cyrus, of course, Jeff, and Scott. Everybody, come out. Get your tickets now for Minneapolis, the 24th at the Varsity Theater. 25th is Toronto, the Comedy Bar. I want to sell that out. And if anybody can bring Henderson or Osbaldiston to the show, we will give them all a hug.
Week before, 16th through the 18th at the Comedy Attic in Bloomington.
And check out this thing we did at jocular.com as well. Yeah, definitely. Check out jocular.com. It's a new website, and we're doing this new thing called Point that I think is really fun. Check that out. And if you're going to be at South by Southwest, we're going to do a live show, probably get some good music, live Sklarbro Country on the 16th of March, and maybe Pat Buchanan will show up. You never know.
It is. It's halftime in America, as Clint Eastwood said. And I think that's a perfect time for American men to get a good, honest Christian boner.
Okay, stop.
There it is. Sklarbro Country.
Sklarbro Country, 81 in the books. Go punch a waterfall. We'll see you next week.